I'm Eric Stark, joined by Ed Gruver as we talk LL League football. Our last time doing this, 14 weeks have gone by.
Yeah.
Let's look back a remembrance of the LL League season. It was a fun year as we look back here. I'm going to throw out some names, and you give me some thoughts that come after it. Mike Williams, the most obvious one on the list.
Yeah, final year as head coach,
Yeah.
as we all know. And one of the things that I remember most about this season with Mike is that the quarterfinal game at Bishop McDevitt, at the end of the game, the McDevitt PA announcer announces this is Mike's last game as Mannheim's head coach. Gets a nice ovation from the Bishop McDevitt fans, which I thought was a nice gesture, a classy gesture on their part.
Says a lot. He's been doing it a long time at Mannheim Central. A lot of football games, a lot of wins.
Mm-hmm.
Calico football, what comes to mind?
Grittiness.
Mm-hmm.
They lost some key players down the stretch, as we all know, and yet fought their way through the bracket, made it to the district title game against McDevitt.
Mm-hmm.
Just great coaching job by Dave Gingrich and his staff, and just like I said, some real tough, gritty play by their players.
Mm-hmm. Made it to the district final. Tough match against McDevitt for them. Speaking of coaches, let's talk new coaches. What jumps out there?
First year head coaching jobs by Mike Choi at Pequea Valley and Tony Cox at Solanco.
Mm-hmm.
Both did good jobs there, and Doug Doms.
Yeah.
7 straight section title. Another district title. They're in the state semis this week. They're 14-0, and all this with a team that only returned 3 starters and all 3 on defense. That's
really interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about Wilson in a moment. I got to say, Jim Cantafio, Jerry Movac, assistant coaches, but get back in the coaching reign at Lancaster Catholic. And Pequea Valley, you mentioned them. First time they've had a winning season. They make the playoffs. They almost did, but that was a hurdle for them as well. Things are going well for the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, they just won a district title with only 3 guys back, as you said. Now they're going on to the state level. What is it with this Wilson club? And the quarterback is really good, too.
Jake Templin, first year as a starter. He races Chad Henney's program record for touchdown passes in a season. Good offensively, really strong defensively. They haven't allowed more than 14 points in a game since week 1.
Wow.
13 weeks ago. And now they're playing a team, Pine Richland. We all remember them from the 03 AAA state title game against Mannheim, the so-called snowball. And, their quarterback, Ben DiNucci, closing out on state passing records. He's the all-time leading passer in WPIAL Quad A, so it should be a good matchup. Should be a good one.
We're going to combine 2 of these together, Northern Lebanon and 16 teams and districts.
Right. Northern Lebanon first section 3 title since 1991.
So you I graduated. Go ahead.
Yeah, Isaac Ray, dual threat quarterback for them, did a great job. And 16 teams from the LL making district playoffs, half of them in AAA.
Wow. Mitch Martin and Bear Shank.
2 of the better quarterbacks in the league and in the district, I think. Both they came down to a week 10 head-to-head matchup for the Section 2 title, and LS won their first Section title since 2011.
Wow.
And Section 2 as a whole lived up to the advanced billing. Probably the most competitive section in league history.
And these 2 quarterbacks lived up to the billing as well. They came with a lot of hype, and they came through. 5-way tie in Section 2.
Yeah. Again, that goes back to what I said a second about how competitive this section was. We all know what the field was going in, but then you add former Section 3 champs and Lancaster Catholic and Garden Spot. Now you have, 6, 7 teams that had a real shot at a section title.
Last one, Lancaster Catholic running back Weaver, 53 carries, 410 yards against Lebanon.
Yeah, Nasir Weaver. What can you say? It was just a career night. One of the best nights in league history and one of the best nights in district history.